Inside the White House. From the Oval Office to the gardens, here's a quick visit of the presidential residence.
The West Wing. The White House was the largest house in the USA when it was finished in 1800, but by the 20th century, it was too small for America's executive. So they added an East and West Wing. The West Wing, as anybody who has seen the classic TV drama of that name knows, is where the president and his closest aides work. It's still much too small. Status is dictated by how closely you are situated to the Oval Office, where the president works, and whether you have the luxury of a window. But to have an office anywhere on the ground floor is to be at the center of the nation's power. The Secret Service are in the basement, as is the Situation Room, the communications center from which the president and military operate during a crisis.
The garden. A president can't really do sport like a normal person. Before he was elected, for instance, Bill Clinton, 1993 to 2001, jogged to keep the consequences of his burger addiction under control. But as President of the United States, this would have meant stopping all the traffic and jogging with security guards. So he had a running track created in the White House garden. Gerald Ford, 1974 to 77, wanted a swimming pool, but with a special characteristic, an underground tunnel that he could use to get there unseen from the White House. Theodore Roosevelt, 1901 to 09, had a tennis court installed that Barack Obama, 2009 to 17, turned into a basketball court and which Melania, the wife of Donald Trump, 2017 to 21, then turned back into a tennis court, complete with a neoclassical pavilion, despite the country being in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Residence and East Wing. The ground floor of the original building is used for official diplomatic receptions. The president and his family live upstairs. Below ground, President Nixon, 1969 to 74, had a bowling alley installed shortly before the Watergate scandal forced him to resign, the only president ever to do so. The East Wing of the White House is where the First Lady and her staff operate from, and also where all the domestic staff of the White House are based, while underground there's an emergency bunker from which the government can operate during an attack. In 1942, Franklin Roosevelt, 1933 to 45, added a small cinema to the East Wing so that he could see the latest films, a presidential visit to the movies not being a realistic option ever since Abraham Lincoln, 1861 to 65, was assassinated at the theater. Donald Trump's first choice was Finding Dory. Recently, President Joe Biden became very concerned about the dangers of artificial intelligence after watching Mission Impossible 7.